I like working with him. So. Anyway, no, it's good. Everyone on Zoom land, we're just taking a look at the minutes, from the last two meeting minutes that were handed out, we're taking a quick look at it. Bradley can't make it tonight.
Are these on the website? Yeah. I'll look harder.
A chance to look at the minutes. No? All right. Let's begin. We just obviously just took a look at the minutes. We have 2 minutes that need approval. Can we do them both at once, Linda, in one vote or 2 votes?
Well, probably two, in case someone
Okay.
wants to vote differently or abstain or
We have a motion for the August 19th minutes.
make that motion.
I'll second it. Second by Bruce. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the August 19th, 2025 meeting minutes? Say aye.
Right.
Opposed? Minutes have been approved from August 19th. September 16th. Wastewater committee meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the September 16th meeting minutes.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. The September 16 minutes have been approved. Peter, I thought we'd jump right in to kind of give a debrief of the school board meeting last week.
Yeah, sounds good.
In the test results, I know he was kind of leading that discussion. She's not coming.
Yeah, Amy was hoping to join, but she couldn't, so I'll give a overview of both kind of what we've done and how the meeting went and kind of what's next. So some of you might already know this, but we successfully were able to advance all four borings at the school on the 2 days in October when the school kids weren't around, which was definitely kind of nerve-wracking because we weren't really sure how that would go or how long they would take. And when you're drilling that deep, you don't have a lot of opportunities to get close to finishing, but not finishing. So anyway, we advanced four borings and installed four monitoring wells. And we found some pretty interesting new developments in terms of the hydrogeology. And what we found was, I think I mentioned before, we were trying to figure out the thickness of the till layer. And what we found out was that it's actually very little till. Two of the borings, I think, had a couple feet of till. And other than that, it's pretty much 60 feet of varying sands, kind of layers of coarser sand and finer sands, right down to 60 feet, which is really great for overall treatment. The other interesting development and finding from this investigation was that all four of the monitoring wells are dry, and there really weren't any signs of a water table as we drilled down. So both of these findings are, really great in terms of treatment. We did the elevation of the bedrock in the wells was a bit different than the Trimino mapping that we had done from the surface. So Amy was able to work with Julia from the Water Supply Division, and then folks from USGS to kind of tweak that model. And actually, we're still working on it a little bit, but the surface of the bedrock has been mapped out. In general, that was all kind of coming out pretty well as well, where in general, the bedrock surface is sloping away from the disposal area and away from the school well, which is all good signs. Amy gave the school board kind of a rundown of those developments and kind of a larger overview of all of the various investigations and testings we've been doing for the last 2 or 3 years. They seemed the meeting went very well. They asked some good questions, but overall seemed very satisfied. That the well will be protected and that this seemed like a good scenario. So we are kind of moving forward with more of a formal report pulled together of all the hydrogeo work, and probably most importantly, we're going to start putting some more serious thought into some sort of protective language for the school and protective testing to just ensure that some of their concerns about emerging contaminants and PFAS and whatnot will be adequately tested, because not all of that is necessarily going to be in the indirect discharge permit. So we haven't really had a chance to completely wrap our heads around this with Jeff Hoffer, who's our water supply hydrogeologist. But we'll be doing that soon, and probably connecting with the state water supply division as well, and kind of moving that forward. So all in all, really good news moving forward, and well received by the school board, which is great.
Awesome. Did you have a discussion on the easement up at the school?
We really didn't. I thought, uh, I kind of opted to not include that in our discussions because I thought the technical piece was going to take a lot more time. So my plan is in the next week or so to forward on that easement. We did talk about it briefly, but it was more in the context of the fact that, um, there's protective language of the school and that both of the attorneys had, um, reviewed the easement and that all in all, it's, pretty straightforward document. So,
Any questions come up, Peter, on the construction being in the off-school months and for next year? Did that come up?
it did come up, definitely in the context of we will be doing everything in our power to ensure that that happens in that window. And what we learned from this experience with the drill rig is that, Dennis and probably also the school board really are very protective of the students and their, experience there, and having construction equipment around and the school dug up and all of that during the school season, I think would be quite problematic. So,
Kind of funny that Hardwick Elementary School right now, the whole side of the building was open. They had to literally ripped out the whole side, and they were still doing construction on the building itself.
for real?
When the kids were back at school. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And this is just, and we just want to be in the athletic field.
And wouldn't you think little boys would be thrilled to be able to just watch that?
You know, I
Like an
I thought it would be kind of
educational-
a cool experience to see. Like, I mean, it's pretty neat equipment, and to be able to see, and understand that this piece of equipment is drilling down 60 feet and kind of watch what's happening. But and certainly, the drillers that we work with, they're from southern New Hampshire, and they're drilling for contamination all over southern New England, pretty regularly on school properties. So they weren't really concerned. But Dennis was pretty adamant that he didn't want to have that sort of thing going on during school hours. So, which I totally respect, and I appreciate that, that's kind of his position. But it did kind of shed light on the fact that, be pretty critical that the contractor gets this done during the off season. Or
Is that 2 months realistic to getting everything done up there?
I think so. I think at least the most disruptive parts, which would be like kind of the force main and, each of the drip dispersal zones. Those are pretty quick to get in. I would think that any remaining work that maybe needs to be done around the, treatment shed is far enough away from everything that, hopefully that wouldn't be a huge problem if that carries over a bit. But we'll definitely be trying to see if we can just get it all done, or at least the louder, more disruptive parts of it.
So I would imagine there are two different contractors, at least work more, or maybe more than two working on this. I mean, a different contractor working on the treatment area versus doing the lines in town. Is that the case, or is that different?
No, it'll likely be one contractor who could quite potentially have several crews doing various, portions. They will be, subcontracting out to, kind of the proprietary folks that install the tubing, and they'll be working kind of as a team to install it. So that outfit is Oakson, and they're located down in, I think, Gloucester, Massachusetts, and then they work closely with, an outfit in, I don't know where Jared Willie and his team on site septic. Do you happen to know, Alan, where they're out of? I think I want to say they're like Fletcher or someplace up kind of in the northwest part of the state, but kind of those three outfits will be working together to get this done. But in general, it'll be the overall contractor that kind of drives the schedule and makes it happen.
Any questions for Peter? Ashwak, do you have any questions about the testing at this point? I'm sure you're going to get some detailed reports, but anything for Peter tonight?
You are talking, sorry, you are talking about the soil borings results?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, we attended those soil borings with Amy, and that seems like it's good for the project, as you said. So yeah, so far I don't have question. I will wait for the detailed report, but so far I think there is no problem. The bedrock is deep and the risk for the well seems limited. So yeah.
Anybody else questions for Peter on the boring and monitoring wells? Anything else on that, Peter?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Long as there's good testing for make sure there's nothing in the well, that's easy enough to do.
Yeah.
Besides that school, as long as that school's there, they probably have a water system. They have to maintain with water samples anyways. Because I'm sure they had to go through and do all the lead, check every lead and copper stuff already. For every tap in that school already.
Right. Peter, did they get a sense from the school board how about future updates, what they wanted from us, or just as needed at different intervals? I mean, we probably don't need to reconnect with this only about the easement. I don't know if we need to meet with them in person or that could be done through email. What's your sense of when they want to hear from us again?
I didn't really get a great sense of that. It really wasn't discussed. My general feeling was that I would share the easement with Elliot and that he could share it with the board and we can kind of go from there whether or not they felt that it was necessary to discuss in person. My sense is it's probably not going to be. But we're certainly open to it if they wanted to. And I imagine David would also be available if they want to get more into the legal side of it.
Do we need that in place for the permit?
Yes,
Easement?
yes, all easements sort of need to be firmed up before we submit the actual indirect discharge permit. So yeah.
And remind us again on the rough deadline for that.
We are shooting for well, yeah, we could talk about schedules now. We're shooting to wrap up the environmental interest document and that documentation probably the first week of November, if possible, and circulate that with Lynette and folks in the Water Investment Division. We're hopeful that we can have hearings on that in December. Does that seem reasonable to you, Lynette?
Yes.
Great. And then we're hoping we kind of a target of end of the year to be submitting our application and have 100% design plans. And I just saw that Lynette invited me to have a discussion on our 60% plans this week. So that's great. Thank you, Lynette. That answer your question, Jim?
Yes, thank you. Yeah. And then I guess that's kind of at the macro and then maybe you can zoom in on the where we are with the, so are we at we heading towards 90% now on this, on the design?
We are, yeah, we've been working that way on the sidelines, and once we get comments from DEC, we can continue to wrap that up, kind of all coming together with the hydrogeo stuff and the environmental interest document.
Is that archaeology all done now?
Yeah, good question, Lynette. Charlie just emailed me today saying he had finished the phase 1 work. And then I think he said he had to revisit the ARA, and I'm pretty sure I saw an email right at the end of the day with a new version of that. So I think hopefully we're getting close on that, with some buy-in from Scott. We have an updated spreadsheet, kind of based on his request there. So I think we're pretty close.
Well, wetlands permit here.
Wetlands permit, I connected with Kristen Rose, who's our wetlands delineator and ecologist, and she was doing her best to wrap up the field season when I checked in with her at the beginning of October, and she had a date right around now, maybe the next week or so, where she was figuring she'd have us the application for submittals and review and submittals. So I'm kind of expecting that any day now. Although I'm imagining she's probably slammed with that like transition from field season to paperwork season, as is usually kind of a stressful time for those folks.
And then
Watching
it goes to DEC wetlands per review.
Correct, yeah.
That's gonna take a while though, right?
That could take a little while. Yeah. It's pretty straightforward, this application, and I don't know if everyone knows this, but there's a kind of an ARPA funded wetlands biologist who's somewhat like Ashawak, where they're more involved with these types of projects that are ARPA funded. And so I'd imagine his turnaround time is different than some of the other wetlands reviewers. But we haven't actually connected with him recently. So
It's not Shannon Morrison.
it's not Shannon, no. Lynette or Ashawak, do you have any info on how he's doing?
I haven't heard specifically. The Montgomery submittal took longer, but it was the request back to the engineer was more related to unfamiliarity with Vermont's rules. So I don't think you'll have that problem.
Okay.
There is a whole bunch of staff that separately tracks ARPA permit submittals. So you in your application make sure to say that it's an ARPA project, and make sure that you copy me, and I'll make sure that the person who tracks the permits is tracking this one.
Okay, great to know. Just gonna make a note to myself on that.
The Act 250 amendment, Peter, for the school?
We've been drafting that. We haven't actually made any progress, but that was an administrative amendment. Should be pretty straightforward and not that time consuming. I guess the other sort of more timely update is that we contracted with Engineering Ventures, and I had a site visit with Bob Neld of Engineering Ventures to review and take a look at the pipe transfer bridges that'll go adjacent to the Route 15 and School Street bridges. Before I forget, I know Bruce, you were pretty interested and had the great idea of trying to have that be like a multi-purpose bridge of sorts where it could potentially be a pedestrian bridge. His take on that really was that it would be pretty easy to do that, not really a problem. His overall game plan on this bridge is to spec out some sort of a kind of a pre-built bridge that'll get delivered. And so I don't know if there's any other avenues of where either LCPC or the town could potentially fundraise for this, but he didn't think it was going to be in terms of the grand scheme of the project, a largely significant cost for that difference to go from just a bridge that carries only the pipe to a pedestrian bridge. But he did throw around, I don't know, don't quote me on this, but I think he said, okay, the bridge just for the pipe might cost $15,000, and the bridge for a pedestrian bridge might cost 40 grand. So it was kind of enough that I'm imagining the Water Investment Division probably wouldn't want to pay that difference as part of this funded project, but it also didn't seem so significant that there might not be another way we could make that happen. So I'll throw that out to the committee and or Tori to kind of chew on a little bit. If it seems like something we're interested in, I could try to get more information on the cost difference.
Yeah, and Peter, just for clarification, not only for the Route 15 bridge, not for the School Street bridge? Doesn't seem like we need it on School Street.
Exactly. I was not figuring School Street. We were just talking the Route 15 one. Yeah.
Peter, I didn't catch that delta. How much was that?
It sounded like about 25 grand.
Okay,
From what I remember him saying.
the total would be 25 grand.
Different.
The difference.
Okay,
Yeah, the delta, correct.
thanks.
Seems like something.
And how's the School Street bridge design, everything going with that?
It's all done.
It's all done.
That is all done, yeah. I'm imagining there might be some requests for information as they get a little closer to actually delivering that bridge and having all the brackets and carrier on the side of that, but has the contractor CSI awarded. I saw when I was up there that they're, as you probably all know, they're getting going and starting on those abutments. So that should be good.
Busy in the village right now. So maybe related, maybe if I could just bump up a bullet further down on the agenda up to this, I think prior to this discussion, the update on the village landowner easement and partial releases. How is that going? Ask Linda and Peter about that. Any more correspondence from landowners that you have received lately? Peter.
I'm interested in hearing if Linda's made any progress. I asked Alex about it today, and it sounded like for the most part it was he was hearing from Linda and not from any specific landowners.
So there's one Mason here. Belinda was supposed to leave it on the table, but she didn't. Just waiting for the husband to sign it. Might have to be hand delivered. I talked to Marcia Douglas this week.
Oh, you did?
She said, yeah, she signed up. She signed all the papers, but I don't know if she knows what she's talking about. And I wasn't gonna disagree with her in
So she's, potato. No, oh, this is.
No. Douglas down here.
Yes.
She said yes and said she filled out the paper, but I don't know what paper she filled out, so I need to find out. There's like no communication, I don't know. Other than Bruce, I don't know anyone who might have, or who's left, I don't have the list.
Oh, okay.
Nobody's communicating with us. I did send him a thing about a concern about the post office. I sent him, because the town's septic is on the post office property currently. And we signed when we did our new,
The town hall, you mean?
yeah, the town hall. But we signed an agreement with them, that if their system failed, they could hook onto our system for, the backup system.
Yeah.
As part of being on their land. I just wondered about the legality of it all. Where we stood, but I never heard back from Alex.
They don't want to hook up then?
I don't know. I don't know.
Is that tomorrow's?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that email come through for you, Linda, and I was kind of scratching my head about that as well. Like,
So my question was, where are we gonna put our system? Are we gonna have it on our land? Are we gonna have it on their land? I
right.
just wanted to open up that conversation. I sent him all the information in case he wasn't aware of it.
But wait a minute, why would you have to worry about where the system location is if they're not gonna hook up?
I don't know if they are. I asked
Well, if
Alex.
it fails, they would have to be required to hook up anyway.
And I wanted to make sure that we weren't putting our system on their land.
It might be a good spot between the old Fred's new and used and the town hall for
Yeah,
a system.
there's the wells over there.
Yeah, that's true.
The well provides water to
Does it matter if the well's over there for
town
you?
hall, the post office, and the town clerk's office and the next house?
Does the proximity of a well next to a new sewer system matter much? How far do you have to have the new tank from a well?
I mean, we shoot for 50 feet, but we have ways to work around that, so it's not a huge deal.
Okay.
It's
Well,
far
anyway,
better.
I just brought it up, but I never heard anything back.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Linda. I mean, it sounds like we should probably all kind of circle up around this again. I know we kind of got David passed off the spreadsheet, which we have, and I know Alex was kind of tracking any of the new ones that were coming in, but we should probably just figure out who still needs to be reached out to and who's going to do that.
And Fred's just up from the Flatiron Road.
Yeah.
He signed up. Right? Makes sense.
The over here,
Yeah.
School Street.
No, way
Oh, just beyond the Flatiron Road.
past
At
Douglas.
Junkie area.
He signed up, so we go past Flatiron.
Yeah, so right across from Flatiron is Douglas, and he's the next one.
So that is within the village
Yeah,
area.
well. Who's on?
Oh, so was that what Fred's daughter was talking about, or was he talking about the house near the bottom of the school on Flatiron?
I think that's what she was talking about.
So this is a separate Fred.
Fred Toronto.
Yeah. Oh, Fred, not Fred Much. Okay, sorry. So we have Douglas now and the other Fred. Toronto. Yeses. Yeah. And then we still have to deal with Fred Martin. Interested in buying the Tatro parcels. The 3 lots there that we were talking about, Peter.
Yeah. Has anyone heard anything more? I think we
15.
responded to.
They initially said they wanted the stub, but then there's been a little bit of correspondence. It would be really good if you have you talked to Elisa Martin, Fred's daughter?
I haven't. I think we offered to talk with her, and we haven't actually heard from her. But
I think I was in Canada when I was trying to correspond, and I think I copied you on that, but it would be good to know exactly what if they not only want the stub, but if they want the septic tank, with the caveat that they would have to pay to hook up there's the mobile home lot, there's the across the road, that red outbuilding, and then there's another wet lot on the Route 15 side, and then there's her house, the main house there. So there's actually four, right? If I have that correct, there's four parcels there.
Correct, yeah.
I don't know which ones the Martins are interested in. I don't know if it's 2 lots or 3 other lots, or even if they're going to buy Tetro's, the house lot. I don't know which of those 4 lots they're interested in, and if they're interested in the septic tank, with the caveat that they would have to pay at hookup time for whatever has a septic tank essentially there. Is
My hunch just talking with Fred a long time ago was that if they're interested in buying these lots, they would probably want to just install the septic tanks and start paying. It's my hunch, but I guess somebody should check in with them and see if they're how close they are to actually purchasing that, if that's the case, or what we're saying.
Pete, maybe I'll have an email. Maybe I'll have an email conversation with her, and I'll copy you on it. And you and
I think that sounds good to just open up the conversation again. It was a kind of a weird email chain where it almost felt like she was trying to get a little more information from the committee before talking with us, Stone Environmental, but we were also on the chain. So I don't know, maybe she'd feel more comfortable just chatting with you briefly. Jim, at that point, we were also talking, there was some discussion on the archaeology piece. And I don't know for sure, but I think that's all been resolved, and Charlie was able to.
With the Tetro pieces, Peter?
Not with the Tetra. I don't know if those were on the list that needed to be done. I think more on the lots that the Martins are on.
What?
You're a little garbled, Peter. I don't know what's going on with your audio.
Oh, sorry. I was saying that I think it was more with respect to the lots the Martins already own, not the Tetra lots.
Okay, so in the village.
Yeah.
The lots of the Martins are in the village. This is the archaeology concern.
Right.
And then the other question that I think we answered at the meeting, it's a Zoom meeting we had last week. We had a Zoom meeting last week with Stone, that the question of the houses on Flatiron and whether this grant could pay to hook those up, because we have the one house on Flatiron, but the other ones we decided are outside the village designation and wouldn't be eligible for this grant funding. But it could be eligible for if I have my acronym correct, CDBG grant, if we get that. But that's true, right?
I think that's true. And kind of based on our initial quick evaluation, we thought it probably made more sense to have those houses clustered with some sort of a pump station over there that would pump up either directly up through the woods to the school property, or up the access road to the school, versus trying to field all the ledge and rock that's in flat out at this point.
That would be the solution if there was funding, but it's not through this grant, not through our current grant funding. Okay, just wanted to be clear.
Yep.
With what we're gonna, this could tie into that email conversation tomorrow with Elisa Martin.
Right.
Okay, I know we kind of jumped around a little bit on the agenda. I just want to get back to Linda. So the partial release question is a little bit different than what we've been talking about with the landowners and the yeses, and some of the paperwork, right, was that, how are we doing on the bank releases?
So basically, I told David that he could continue with them. I wasn't gonna do that. His legal expertise will push them along a little further, but one of the questions we had for Lynette was whether she was gonna find out whether the partial releases signed by everyone was a requirement. We never got that,
The permits submittal part, you mean, Linda?
Lynette will follow up with DEC staff to confirm what the release is required from banks for package to be complete for IDR permit.
Indirect discharge.
So Ashwag's here, so we can ask her.
Hi. Yeah, I heard you talking about the indirect discharge permit, but did not hear exactly what's the question. Sorry.
On the partial releases from the bank as part of the easement package required for
Indirect discharge.
the permit to be complete before we can file for the permit.
Yes, we requested that for the other projects that we are working on to try to finalize easements before the permit application.
Okay, so
But the-
Lynette, or
hold on,
Ashwag,
just-
What she said.
Yes.
Hold on.
We need this.
So the nuance here is that the mortgage holder partially owns the property and not just the owner that's on the deed. And so the question is, does the bank have to sign the easement or give a release on the easement too? And none of the other villages have talked about having to do that.
So we don't need the bank release? Sorry, I'm a little confused.
I just wanted to make sure that Ashwag understood the full question.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. I did not.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't have an answer. I can ask my supervisor about that. Yeah.
Because that, to me, that seemed like it might be like the greatest challenge for the permit submittal deadline is getting all the easements and partial releases.
Ashwag,
Yeah.
it might be helpful to, maybe just a very brief call with David, the town's attorney. And he could probably do a better job of kind of framing it and giving his legal opinion.
Yes.
I think in general, he was not that worried about it, but he just kind of wanted it to be out there for everyone to know that it's sort of an issue. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense. He could probably do a better job of explaining it.
Mhm.
Does
Yeah.
that
Yes.
sound familiar, Linda?
Yes.
Or whoever was with him?
I think so, yeah, because we will seek also from our program, I think we will seek also a legal, it's not technical, so we will seek a legal opinion also. So it would be good to have the attorney talk about the easement.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
And just to reiterate what Linda mentioned earlier, Peter, is there any way we can reconnect with Alex on our total yeses, nos, meet our opt-out criteria, does not meet? It seemed like we had some new property owners that were yeses that we just discussed earlier. I just want to make sure that number is up to date.
Yeah, I guess I checked in with Alex today and I didn't really feel like I got a great update, but I will certainly work with him to circle with everybody and try to make sure that's as up to date as it can be.
Or that he can share it with us.
Yeah,
You know, a weekly share would help. And we would know where we stand.
that sounds like a good idea, Linda. I like that.
And I just want, looking at the meeting minutes, the 2 months that we were looking at. We had a discussion in August about, Shannon Hewitt at 161 School Street. We have a commitment letter returned as a yes, but difficult to find time to survey the property. Was there an update on that, Peter? On the Shannon Hewitt on School Street, did that get surveyed?
I don't know offhand. I'll find out for you though.
Yes, she has a different name, I think, I'm not sure, but.
Okay, was 161 School Street was the address?
It's right there, that white and blue house.
Okay. Was there a friend with the dogs? The dog? Or was it the next house down?
The white with blue trim.
And then Pete Johnson, there was
I didn't do anything about him.
there was a note in the September, need to confirm whether Pete Johnson,
I wasn't sure if
he
that was,
needs an increase in.
it was separate from the Wolcott store, right?
Pete Johnson's, the big apartment house.
Right,
And next to the store.
And, oh yeah, he's got two, that's right.
right.
He's got two.
Yep.
He was a yes for hooking up, but we didn't know if there was a potential need for an increase in allocation because he's got two big apartment buildings. And I know we had a discussion last week about the laundry room question that came up. But you thought, Peter, it might not change anything. Because that's might already be factoring in if someone has a washer and dryer in their house versus whether it's in one unit or it's multiple washing machines shared by the tenants. If it's the same thing as what would be in a regular single family home.
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as it's only used by tenants, then it's probably not going to increase the flows. But
So I don't know why Pete Johnson might need a bigger allocation than, unless he's planning on expanding, which
yeah,
is
I'll
doubtful,
just
right?
double check with Alex and maybe review the forms he filled out, and if it looked like there's any openings where maybe there's question of what he might want, we could certainly reach out to him.
And then we'll find out tomorrow, maybe from Lisa Martin, but if they're planning on adding 3 more hookups on Route 15.
Which property was that, Jim?
The Tetro sub.
Oh, yeah.
The lots
Right.
that we're talking about.
Yeah,
Because that could potentially add 3 hookups.
correct. Yeah.
Any more question on the landowner hookups, easement, partial releases? No. All right, I didn't know who was going to handle this again, but we did have a meeting last week to go over the spreadsheet and try to update that, and I think we had a good meeting on that. I have Tori, Peter that are in attendance today. And just to share with the rest of the people that weren't at the meeting last week, Peter.
Yeah, do you want me to share share the spreadsheet on the screen, or just kind of give an overview of what we talked about?
If you want to just give an overview about what we talked about, and then I can chime in on a tiny update from Seth on this conversation with Jim Mahoney.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. So I guess the gist of what our meeting was taking a look at the spreadsheet that Julie Breath had prepared and looking at, I don't remember specifically which option it was, but we had kind of whittled it down to the option where the town pays for the reserve capacity that it will hold, which is detailed in the ordinance, which is 20% of the total capacity, and its fees. And then so one lever that we can kind of play with is I think when that 20% decision was made, we hadn't really acknowledged or gotten to the point where we realized we were going to be at a capacity of about 30,000 gallons per day, which is significantly more than we had in the original preliminary engineering report of about 20,000, I think. And so what that equates to is the town holding and paying for about 6,000 gallons per day, which ends up being a pretty significant sort of amount of money for the town, because it's that equals, in the ballpark of $24,000 in addition to the non-residential user rate for the municipal buildings, which is about another $10,000. So that we kind of looked at how that plays around with the assessed tax rate for the town. I think we realized there were some factors from Julie Beth's spreadsheet that we probably need to get some updated values from the town, like the total town budget, and the grand list. Although I think we did update the grand list. Linda had that. So I think that was the gist of it. The two main non-residential users in the town, other than the town itself, is really MSI and the country store. We did realize at the meeting that our spreadsheet sort of incorrectly, well, I wouldn't say it's our spreadsheet. The values behind the spreadsheet were correct, but there was still a carryover from when Julie Beth was working with it that suggested that the country store was only 217 gallons per day. Turns out their design flow is much more significant than that with the 6 pumps they have. And so I think they were currently at around 900 gallons per day. And then we look back at our notes, and I think we mentioned at the meeting that Fred Martin's desire to ultimately have some seats in the country store, like diner type seats. We looked back at our notes, and he was suggesting maybe about 12 seats. So that actually ends up being a pretty significant number too, another 300 gallons a day or so. So that total for that country store is more like 1,200 gallons per day. So it ends up being a pretty significant monthly payment. Right now, the current spreadsheet I'm looking at is about $445 a month.
For 1,200.
Yeah, it's actually $1,291, so closer to 1,300.
450 a month, is that what you said?
Yeah.
And then, so that's what Fred Martin requested that. So we did, so just to recap, so there was a mistake in the initial spreadsheet saying 200 gallons a day. It should have been 900. That's just for the store, not the apartments above the store, right?
Correct, yeah. And just to be clear, it was only a mistake on the spreadsheet in the place where it tried to calculate what the non-residential portion of that property would be. So there really wasn't, the only mistake or non-addition in the total capacity allocations was that we hadn't added their additional requests for the seats. Does that make sense? I know it's kind of confusing, but.
Well, I mean, we went from 200 gallons to 900 plus 300, right? And so.
Yes and no. The 900 was built into the overall calculations that were calculating rates. So there wasn't correct. It wasn't incorrect in the calculations behind the scenes. It was just incorrect in the calculation of what the store itself would have to be paying monthly as an illustration.
I don't think that's important for the mistakes, but what mistake, potential mistakes or not, but just that does Fred know it's gonna be 450?
I don't know that anyone's ever actually talked dollars with him, so no.
Okay.
It sounds like from what I figured out, he's paying Michaud every week to go over there to go pump it out, so.
Every week,
Week or two, he has to have pumped out,
really? Wow.
so.
This is a bargain.
I don't think we ever
That's
talked
like
money, but
300 something bucks a pop at least, right?
He ain't cheap, I know that.
What did you say, Peter?
I was gonna say, I don't think I ever actually talked money with him about what the rates were gonna be or anything, but I know in general, like he was very understanding of, you know, what these systems generally cost and that it was, you know, going to be, you know, costly and that it was still worth it to him. But I think we're probably at a point where this starts to get finalized. Someone needs to circle back with him and
And that
kind of
doesn't
make it.
include, that doesn't include his other building or buildings in the village. That's just a store. He's got the bookstore with the apartment above it
Correct, yeah.
and he's got another building right um, on 15. Lynette, you had a question. You had a hand up.
Oh yeah, sorry. I have to jump and I just want to say goodbye and let me know if you have any more questions for me.
Thank you, Lynette. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Lynette. Thanks for joining.
Bye.
So Peter, when we were looking at the numbers last week on the Zoom call, let's just estimate 1,300 gallons, the store at 1,300 gallons a day. I can't remember what number when we were re-looking at the store numbers, were we looking at that? I know you said that we went from, I think we talked about 5 seats last week and now that number is 12 seats. So those numbers
Yeah.
are going to change
Yeah.
from what we even talked about last week, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to bring it up and look
Yeah,
at it? Or?
I guess I just want to jump in briefly because there were a couple other questions after the meeting last week that I just wanted to follow up on, just how things are laid out in the ordinance. One of them was whether the fixed rate for residential users is written in here or not, and it is going to be the responsibility of the Board of Sewer Commissioners to set the rates and fees every year. And so all of this kind of feels like a role of that body once they're established. So to the extent you want to keep digging into the spreadsheet, and understanding things, we can, but it might also just be something to revisit over the winter or with the future Board of Sewer Commissioners too.
Okay. And Tori, just you want to mention the MSI update?
Yeah, just that Seth did also follow up with Jim Mahoney, and he's still discussing with folks, which like final allocation makes most sense for them, whether it's like the 2,500 to 3,000 or greater than that, in which case they need multiple tanks. But just that Seth did reach out and is got the ball rolling in their brains. Are still kind of working through that.
And we did agree, right, Peter, that this grant could pay for more than one tank if MSI needs the tank, but they're going to pay for it in increased allocation. But the tanks would be part of this grant funding. Is that what we decided last week and other discussions? It might be helpful for Seth's conversation with Jim about their capacity, desires, and
Yeah, I mean, I think the general conversation we had last week was that incrementally it wasn't going to cost that much more between, say, 2,000 gallons per day and 3,000 gallons per day for the increase in the size of the tank. But somewhere above that would require probably multiple tanks, and then that would start adding significant cost to the project. So if they weren't willing to be paying for that capacity right off the bat, the project probably couldn't support it. That sound kind of like what we talked about?
You're saying about 3,000 is
Around
gallons is
3,000,
the
yeah.
approximate trigger
Yeah.
for more cost, but when you mean more cost for the construction part of the
Correct.
project. But
Correct.
are we, if it is even more than 3,000, if they're agreeing to pay for that allocation, are we willing to pay for even septic tanks that might be able to handle more than 3,000 as part of this grant funding, I guess is the question.
I think probably yes, yeah.
Only that would be good for Seth to know.
But my understanding from the very preliminary conversations that he was having with MSI was like 3,000 is kind of the max they were even considering, but
Yeah.
I think we can make it work no matter where they want to go with it. Seth did have an email for me that I kind of didn't totally know what he was asking, but I need to circle back with him.
And, do we need to set a deadline for when they need to make up their mind for your plans?
Yeah, I think I mean, generally by the end of November, we need to be starting to really focus on where things are landing, because at that point we're going to be starting to prepare all the applications and getting closer to the 90 and 100% designs. So sometime in the next 4 or 5 weeks, I would say.
Being that we only meet once a month, I just want to make sure that, so we're going to be coming right up against that deadline at our next meeting. So I just want to make sure. So Peter, so there's a couple of things going on. We need to know everybody's allocation, what they want for allocation. Do we also need the final surveys for the easements, and for people that you haven't been able to get a hold of to get permission to survey? I'm just wondering, like, what needs to get done if we're talking about the end of November. That's really our next meeting. I'm just wondering what we need to do, what you guys need to do, what we need to do to make that deadline.
I'll check in with Alex. I mean, I don't think. Hi, Ashwak. Thank you. I don't think we have too many more that we have to survey or anything, and I think we have draft easement plans for most of the properties. So I think we just need to revisit the spreadsheet and figure out where we are with connecting with people and getting people to sign them. So
We have to resolve the Tetro Martin lots.
yeah, I mean, I don't see that as like a huge thing to resolve, other than figuring out if they're legitimately going to buy them and whether or not they want to switch and have the tank. It's not a huge deal on our end to.
I'm more thinking about the easement part of that, especially if they don't own the property yet. Like how that's
We'll have to figure. Yes, we would have to figure out when that property was going to transfer, and if it's not going to transfer in advance of our sort of deadline, then we would need to have Tetro sign for the easement, knowing that the buyer wants them. She'd have to be the one signing up sort of on behalf of the Martins, right? Which seems like if you have two property attorneys involved, that shouldn't really be a problem.
Great.
Well, so once we get the spreadsheet from you and Alex here, if you would like to set up a meeting to kind of map out who's left, what outreach needs to happen, and next steps before next regular committee meeting, we can do that.
Yeah, I think that probably makes sense. It's like, I don't know, kind of like we did for the meeting last week. Maybe Linda, Jim, Tori, and me, and Alex should just sit down and go through the list and figure out. The two of you can tell us who you know personally, and if there's any that we have to pick back to David or.
So just to sharpen that a little bit, so the village yeses, nos, who met the opt-out, who didn't. That tally plus the question of are there going to be any new hookups that like the Tetro Martin piece that we were just discussing, and also the easement partial release question. I think to me that this is all
Yeah.
one big
It's all kind of one big
landowner commercial and the MSI allocation. And
Yeah.
maybe circling back to Pete Johnson to just see if he wants an increase in allocation. I'm just trying to think of anybody that might want an increase in allocation out there.
Yeah.
That haven't fine tuned yet.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, you never really know. Hopefully the forum would have captured this, but somebody like Pete Johnson might have like other bigger ideas that are future ideas or something.
As a thought with my other hat on as the Wolcott Arts Collaborative, or Linda, do we see any use changes in that building as part of what we want to do there as far as allocation?
Well, I was reading the wastewater permit, it's set for 123 people now, our current wastewater system permit. I can't imagine you should have more than that in that building.
Well, I think you're only allowed 100 for fire safety.
Which building is that?
The old town hall,
Okay.
Valley Wolcott.
Yeah.
We just, I don't know if you know, Peter, but we started a Wolcott Arts Collaborative. So Valley Wolcott has it like 6 days a week right now for partial days where they have classes, mostly evening during the week and on Saturdays. And then we're going to be having art classes and author talks and some concerts, maybe like 3 or 4 events a month. But I was just asking about that allocation.
Cool. Yeah. Just kind of picturing that building, I would think that the existing wastewater permit of 123 seems reasonable. I'll just double check with Alex, so that's what's in our spreadsheet.
There's the Nazarene Church that we could think about too. Who knows when they're coming before the DRB, I think, tomorrow night. To subdivide that property. So
She wants 4 apartments in there.
In the church.
Yeah.
Plus separate. So we have that, Peter, that allocation, the 4 apartments?
We have the 4 apartments, which is what they were envisioning. I think the DRB requested.
Do we have any recent, I'm sorry, do we have any recent information about the 4 apartments, or was that their initial?
I think that was their initial ask.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying now?
No, always has. She's always presented that.
Oh, so recently, I mean, talking to, I don't know, it's just that it could become, if it sells. So they're subdividing. My guess is it will sell. Probably both properties would sell, is a guess. If so, it could become anything.
She's not going to be fixing it up herself.
I don't know. All I know is that I heard from the guy that's doing whatever sales in there. It seemed very close to them.
But no, don't listen to him,
Okay.
please.
Well, okay.
I think so. She's dividing it off. Her granddaughter doesn't want to live there anymore.
Right.
And so she's
what I
going to
heard.
go back. I haven't heard that she was selling this church. I always thought she was going to.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know either. You're right.
Didn't JB know her or something?
She worked down the street.
In California? Yeah. But they were in
She
communication.
was here this summer.
Yeah.
The falling out with her granddaughter.
My sense is, my guess is it could become anything. It could become a restaurant.
I don't know, maybe she will sell. Sure.
Well, just circling back, I just want to, this other meeting that we might have for any increase in allocation, yes, no's, opt-outs, additional hookups, that we were discussing, partial releases right away, all the landowner things that we need to finalize. There's a bunch of that we can do before we get together. I know if we can, with MSI, like for Seth and Peter and I can talk to the Martins about taking them property. So it seems like we'll have a better idea. Yeah, and we're the FEMA buyouts are still, who knows what the federal government these days is, are those still,
They're just about done.
okay?
Only one is the one across the way. I'm waiting for that closing, but we have the money.
For
Yeah.
Bernard's?
No, it doesn't. Yeah, Bernard's, I think they took it down.
They took Bernard's down?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't, for some reason I missed it.
And the other one up the road, yeah.
Bernie was on the TV channel, WCAX.
Oh, I haven't watched.
Yeah, you should watch it.
Okay. I guess I should watch the.
Yeah,
Okay, well, that's,
so
Good
it's
to know.
gone.
he's gone, moved and all that. And any other questions on this before we go to the next item? Just, any grant updates and looking at Tori and Linda on that. And we're gonna find out about the CDGD grant next month.
Yes, board will review those applications meets November 20th. So sometime between November 20th and December 15th, we're expecting a notice.
So this was full application that we submitted or just a partial?
Full.
Okay,
Yep, full application was submitted at the end of September. They'll be reviewing that at their board meeting. End of November, and then hopefully by December 15th, we'll have an answer either way. I'll just need to work with Lynette on environmental review with the EIB at Northern Borders, and also as a part of this special environmental review process also.
so we probably won't know about that at our next meeting, but our December meeting is what.
Yep.
Any sense? Do we got a shot at this?
The ACCD staff said that usually they'll follow up with questions if they have any like more information they need or whatever from the application, which we haven't gotten yet, so. It's good so far, but we'll see.
And Peter, this is a huge hypothetical, but if we did get this other grant, would we be able to add that cluster of Flatiron within the construction season next year, or that's like, that'd be like a different project?
Good question. I don't know. It probably would not be a huge lift to add that, but it would certainly be the last thing we'd want them trying to wrap up.
Yeah.
And if it needed to carry over, it'd be easy enough one to add on after.
Okay. Anything else on grants, Tori and Linda?
Just keep your fingers crossed.
Thank you for working on that.
Or
Any other items before I just want to look at our calendars for next month? I have a little bit of curveballs. I am going to be in Portugal at our next scheduled meeting. So, well,
Portugal, you say?
yeah,
Hello.
just 10 days.
Good.
So, so if anybody, so we're scheduled to meet on the 18th of November. If someone, I don't need to be here, Bradley will be back from Indiana by then. We'll have him in person if someone wants to run the meeting. So we have to reschedule
when are you leaving?
the 9th through the 19th.
But we're gonna meet to follow up on missing information.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should probably keep that date. The next week is Thanksgiving.
Right.
I actually don't know what my plans are yet. I'd be able to do a virtual meeting anyway if folks wanted to do that on Tuesday, 25th.
So Peter, so you're a little bit garbled.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's turning my head. I said I would be able to do a virtual on the 25th, regardless of where I am. If that works better for folks, but you know, I also recognize that week's probably hectic for a lot of people. So I was sort of proposing we keep the date without you, Jim.
Okay, no, that's fine with me.
But either of those days work for me, so it's kind of up to you.
If someone wants to volunteer to.
Would you send them, kind of, agenda questions, or do you send them to Tori? It's agenda.
I usually make it up. But,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I can make an agenda and.
Well, you don't, you can just, if you could, put together some bullets that you'd like us to talk about.
Okay, and
And just maybe,
I'll send it out as a rough draft agenda.
okay,
And so that would be good after the smaller group of us meets in the next couple of weeks, then we'll have a better idea what we need to talk about or what you guys need to talk about on the 18th.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I imagine we'll have a bunch of updates, and kind of push on some of these things that might be technical.
like you're talking underwater.
Huh, it's not usually a problem, right?
And now you're okay.
No.
No,
Huh.
it
Maybe
goes
I'm
in
just
and
tired
out.
of mumbling.
I think we're making some good progress here. Thank you for all your work, Peter
Yeah.
and Tori and everybody else. And I think we're right on track, and I get a little nervous about the landowner stuff because I think that's the hardest part. It's like herding cats sometimes with the landowners.
It is the hard part, yeah.
I think we're in
I
good shape.
think all in all, we're doing reasonably well, though, from what I've heard about some other communities. So I think that's good.
Overall, or just on the easements?
On the easements, well, kind of both, to be honest. But
Well, we've gotten lots of requests, both, I guess, me and Linda, especially about people calling or emailing about what we're doing here, that other communities want to do this and are trying to figure out how to do this. And as Linda, I believe, met with the Craftsbury Select Board or Planning Commission.
Greensboro, I think.
Greensboro, yeah, I talked to Greensboro, Hardwick, Fairleigh, Craftsbury.
Yeah, Craftsbury and Reading.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that want to do what we're doing.
yeah,
They might be interested in asking about the opposition to it as well,
Right.
different communities.
But obviously the one caveat I have to say is it's going to take longer than you think. But
it's gonna take longer, and hopefully the state figures out a way to continually. Well, which Lynette was still on the call, but continually fund it sort of at this level. As you know, this ARPA grant money has really been a huge catalyst for allowing it to happen. If you had to push that debt service on to all the users, it probably wouldn't be feasible, especially in a community like Hardwick or Wolcott or Hardwick. Hardwick
wouldn't it happen?
wouldn't happen, right? So.
But it's a lesson that you should always be ready for whenever money's just fall out of the sky.
Right. It's true.
And let me just, while we're looking at the calendar, The December meeting would be the 16th. We kind of dodge most of the holidays. Not all, but I guess that's a Hanukkah week, but we might need to shift to the December meeting a little bit earlier if we wanted to do that. Or it would be the 16th is what it would normally be, but just something to keep in mind. Might be, it doesn't seem prudent to skip a meeting at this stage of where we are, but
I mean, the
we have to
16th
be-
sounds like a pretty good balance to me of not being right in the thick of the holidays, but I also recognize that people have random holiday parties and stuff that pop up. So I don't, I'm open to any suggestions, but I would suggest we maybe wait till next meeting to talk about it.
Okay, we'll just tentatively say this is the 16th, and you guys can iron it out at the next meeting, but
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, one of my things that's going through my brain is trying to figure out when we might schedule the hearings for the NEPA review.
oh, is that here, Peter, or where would that be?
It would probably be there. Yes, I don't know if it would be part of maybe this meeting or maybe part of the select board meeting. We could talk more about that and the place a little closer.
And that's December? That would be like December timeline?
That's what we were talking about in our timelines today, was trying to squeeze that in. It should be a pretty straightforward thing, but
And we could have it at our regular wastewater meeting or a select board meeting?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I'll have to just double check on those requirements.
And that's the NEPA hearing, you said?
Yeah, yeah.
And was that typically in the evening or a daytime meeting?
Typically in the evening, yeah.
And what does NEPA stand for?
National Environmental Protection Act, I think.
You say
National.
Policy or
policy?
protection.
Finding of no significant impact, FONSI. So it's pretty much the national federal environmental review of a project like this, and it's required by the funding. It's mostly, it gets a little confusing. It's mostly delegated and reviewed in Vermont by the Water Investment Division. So Lynette and her team are mostly the ones making the determination whether or not it meets the requirements, and they can issue a FONSI for it. The thing that's a little bit complicated in this scenario is that we also have the Northern Borders grant money, and they have a slightly different review process. So what we're trying to do is merge the two together and get them both done at the same time. So
Who runs that meeting, Peter? The hearing?
Generally Lynette would be there and we would be presenting our findings, and then it's a chance for community folks to come and ask questions or anything.
Well, they delegate to DEC essentially, Peter.
Correct,
And
yeah.
so this has nothing, there's a shutdown, that has nothing to do with this potentially
Well,
getting canceled.
We were just, we don't think so. We were just asking that today though, and maybe Corey has some info on this, but we're assuming that the Northern Borders Regional Commission hasn't really been impacted by the shutdown. But we don't really know that.
It would be,
Corey's shaking her head, so that's good.
it would be great if we could piggyback it onto our regular meetings, so we'll have another meeting, or I don't know if Linda wants it on a select board meeting
I think it would be better on the wastewater committee meeting. I'll just have to double check the requirements and make sure it doesn't have to be on the select board or anything more official.
We could do what we did at the last like landmark meeting and just have our regular meeting for an hour and have the hearing for an hour, or unless it's a specific amount of time we're supposed to have a hearing for, but
Totally, yeah. We'll talk about that a little more when we get closer, but I think that's a good game plan. I think the caveat is, first, we have to get the environmental interest document to Lynette. They have to review it. They have to kind of give their findings, and then we'll have to.
is there a possibility it would not be in December, it'd be later, it'd be January or something?
It's possible, yeah. Our goal is to get it done in December. I think that'd be great.
Okay. All right, any other thoughts, questions, discussion?
I did sign the Stones Engineering contract for phase 2.
Yeah, thank you.
That took forever.
That took forever. Well, it's good that that's behind us. We were, in knowing that it takes forever, we were just talking today how we did, the next, our third, they did do it in steps, is the way the water investment division does it. Step 1, step 2, and step 3. And step 3 is, the construction phase. So we were just talking today that we could really just start pulling that together so that, kind of ahead of the curve on that, even though I think we're close to construction at this point.
Great, I think we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Peter.
Have a good one. Bye.